Welcome to the Implementing Partner Management, Reviewing an Application to a Grantor Program course. You are here because you have decided to expand your knowledge of the Grantor Management module. You selected the thematic area, Implementing Partner Management, the Program, Application and Agreement Management, and then the course on Reviewing an Application to a Grantor Program. Upon completion of this course, you will be able to review an application to a grantor program. The application form is a tool by which prospective partners convey their interest and apply to execute the United Nations mandated activities based on the requirements described in the grantor program in executing United Nations mandated projects. The form consists of 4 pages requesting following information. First page, applicant information. Second page, project information. Third page, budget proposal. Fourth page, checklist, certification and signatures. The form is filled in by the program assistant on behalf of the implementing partners and beneficiaries. In the future, the functionality will be made available to all implementing partners and beneficiaries. Prior to submission of the application, the form can be saved at any time. When saved or submitted, the system generates the application object with a unique ID. You need to fill in the required fields before saving. Let us revisit the grantor process overview. We are still in the second phase, the application. After the grantor program has been created and submitted for approval, the application must undergo a selection review. In this training course, we are following the example of an application to a UNEP grantor program. The application approval workflow is entity-specific and may follow different review levels for your own entity. The system has been configured to automatically route the application to the appropriate approver for review. Please refer to the Grantor Management Overview course for a detailed description of the approval workflows in your entity. For our UNEP training scenario, the application to the grantor program requires 3 levels of approval. First, programmatic approval by the program officer, followed by financial approval by the certifying officer, and last, final review by the so-called individual signatory. The approval process will begin with the approval by the program officer. In this process, the program officer will be responsible for reviewing and approving the application.
Hello, I am Bridget, the program officer. Let's get started. Here, I have logged into the application. In the home screen, within the Workflow Tasks section, I see the application requires my approval. I could open this notification from the home screen. We will however navigate into the Work List screen. Click on the Work List tab. All staff with the program officer role, within the same service organization, will receive the workflow task. Anyone with that role can approve, return or reject the application. Let's begin by opening the workflow task. So, click on the approval message. Before we can approve the application, we must review the details of the application. So, we must scroll down to open and view the contents of the application form. Let's scroll down the page. Here you see the link to the application form. Click to open. Note, the workflow status roadmap reminds me that the application is pending with me for program officer approval. Now, let's review the general data within the application details. Then, we will scroll down the page. Application form. We will review the contents of the application form. Note the application form has 4 pages. It is my job as the program officer to carefully review all 4 pages of this application form against the requirements of the call for proposal. Here on page 1, we see the background details of the applicant. Note the scroll bar within the application form, which allows us to scroll through each page of the application. To proceed, click on Next Page. Now we will review the information on the second page. As the program officer, I must pay particular attention to the information on this page. For example, the description, grantor program start and end dates, the project summary etc., since it contains most of the programmatic details. Now we will click on Next Page to continue to review more details on the application form. Here in page 3, review the details of the budget proposal. Note that the certifying officer will need to pay particular attention to this page. So, here, we will scroll further down the page, reviewing the application page. We will click on Next Page to navigate further through the application form. Here in page 4, review the checklist and attachments. Now we will scroll further down the page, to review the application checklist. After finishing the review, I will navigate back by clicking on the Back button. The application. So we selected Approve from the Decision drop-down menu. As explained in the Grantor Program Approval course, you also have the option to return or reject the application. Now click on Execute Decision. Now you can see the task has disappeared from the Program Officer's workflow task list. Note, the status of the application will remain in the status of selection review until it has been approved by all approvers in the approval chain.
Now that the Program Officer has completed the programmatic approval, we will move on to talking about the role of the Certifying Officer. In this process, the Certifying Officer is responsible for reviewing and approving the application. Financial approval is the second step in the approval process of reviewing an application. Hello, I am James, the Certifying Officer. Let's get started. Here, in the home page, the Certifying Officer will receive a notification alerting me that the application requires my approval. So, click on the Workflow task. As shown already for the Program Officer, I would need to scroll down the page to open the application form. There I must verify the following details before approving the application: the total amount requested by the implementing partner, the total amount the IP or EB is contributing to the project, the co-funding arrangements, the project budget proposal, and last, the program support cost rate. After carefully reviewing these details, I would navigate back to the Workflow task, as shown here, to make my approval decision. Remember, I can approve, reject or return the application back to the Program Officer. Note the possibility to add a note to the approval which will be passed on to the next approver. In this training scenario, I will approve. So I will leave the decision set to the default, approve value. Now, click on Execute Decision. Now you can see the task has disappeared from the Certifying Officer's workflow task list. In this training scenario, after the Certifying Officer has approved, the application is then passed on to the individual signatory for final review. Remember, we are following the workflow for our entity, UNEP. The individual signatory is the last step in the approval process of reviewing an application.
Hello, I am Julie, and I am authorized to approve the selection of an application on behalf of the approver, who has the delegation of authority to select the application of a specific implementing partner or end beneficiary. Let's get started. Here, in the home page, I will see a workflow task, alerting me that the application requires my approval. So, click on the Workflow task. As shown already for the Program Officer, I would need to scroll down the page, open the application form, and thoroughly review the contents, ensuring that it is in accordance with the entity's policy and guidelines, in line with the mandatum, and in the best interest of the UN. After reviewing the information, we will select Approve from the Decision drop-down, and then we will click on Execute Decision. Now you can see the task has disappeared from the individual signatory workflow task list.
This concludes the Implementing Partners, Reviewing an Application to a Grantor Program course. In the course we have demonstrated how to review an application to a grantor program. What's next? Now that we have shown you how to reviewing an application to a grantor program, the next course, IPAP03, will explain how to drafting and negotiating grantor agreements. Refer to the Implementing Partner Management thematic area on iLearn to access additional courses. Also, check out the course forum to collaborate with a community of users, share knowledge and tips, and learn by asking peers and experts.